first, over the past few months, we've met many people who've seen life-changing results from weight loss jabs. But could we just be scratching the surface when it comes to its possible benefits?
Yeah, Rachael Cooper, who joins us now, started taking the jabs last March. Not only has she lost 5 stone, but she says her alcohol cravings that she experienced all her adult life have disappeared too.
So could the weight loss drug help fight addiction in the future? Rachael is here now alongside psychiatrist and addiction specialist Dr David McLaughlan. Good morning to you.
Morning.
Both. Good morning.
Hiya.
So Rachael, let's start with you first of all. Tell me about life pre-jab. What was it like for you?
Bit of a mess, if I'm honest. It was very chaotic. My eating habits were awful and I was a serial binge drinker. I would drink most weekends to excess. I had relationship problems, problems with family, problems at my work, you know, wasn't performing well. And it was just really chaotic, yeah.
And you've got 2 little boys as well, so you were trying to run around after them as well.
Yeah, I was surviving,
right.
But there were times when I felt like I was doing the bare minimum and just ticking the boxes and not being the best mum that I could have been, you know.
Okay.
Lockdown was pretty difficult for you, wasn't it?
For everyone.
By the time we came out of lockdown, what had happened to you? What had you done and what sort of state were you in?
I was 4 stone heavier after lockdown, and it was a lot because we lived on takeaway pretty much, and it was when all the new gins had come out, all the different flavour gins, so I was trying a different flavour like every other day. And yeah, we just became, I think, we got so used to being indoors that when everything went back to normal, I didn't really know how to fit in with society anymore. So I was really agoraphobic as well. I really became anxious about doing the school runs and...
And was that as sort of a byproduct of the weight that you'd put on and
yeah, absolutely. I felt horrible about myself. That was the biggest I'd ever been. I was nearly 19 stone. I was 3 pound off 19 stone, and I didn't want anybody to see me. You know, it was really bad because they'd saw me before lockdown and obviously all of a sudden I ballooned into this person. Yeah.
And you were working from home too, so it was even scheduling was tricky as well.
Yeah, so it's I mean, you can still work from home now, but I wasn't at that job at the time, so I was furloughed at the time and then got another job after that, but yeah, it was difficult.
What was your relationship with alcohol like? You talk about a bit of sort of the eating, obviously, but binge drinking as well. You're loving your gins and in lockdown.
Yeah.
And were you ever concerned about your relationship with alcohol?
Always been concerned about it, if I'm honest. So from the age of 18 onwards, I've never had a good experience with alcohol. It's always caused trouble for me, some type of drama. And it's a lot of my relationships in the past I've thought to be toxic. Well, looking back on reflection, probably was a lot of it was the alcohol, because I was quite provocative through it as well. And I knew that it was causing problems. But for years, I didn't want to have to admit that I had to go cold turkey and give it up. I wanted to try and moderate, which is what I tried to do and failed for many years.
Right. So originally, you went onto the weight loss jabs for your weight, essentially. Yeah. What was the catalyst for that for you? Had you tried other things and it didn't work? Or were you just kind of like, well, maybe if I get this bit in control?
Yeah, that was kind of the thought process because I couldn't afford a gastric sleeve and I thought this is something that I can afford now. I tried Slimming World and all these other different diets and calorie counting, etc. But I did think, you know, with the gastric ban, I'd have to have saved for a little while. But with this, I could afford it out of my monthly wages, and I thought it would make me at least feel better about myself. So that helped because with trying to give up alcohol as well, your sugar cravings go through the roof. And I was eating, like taking a pack of Haribo to bed every night, you know, when I was trying to give up drink. So I was putting more weight on as I was trying to give up drink. So, you know, initially I was like, it's not that bad, just, you know, as long as you're not drinking. But at some point you've got to...
Becomes a vicious circle.
So you're investing in yourself. You're going for this jab and you start taking it. And how quickly did you start to notice that you were losing weight and you were sort of the food noise had quietened in your head?
I think I was one of the unlucky ones because I had a lot of friends that were a lot slimmer than me and they lost a lot more weight than I did early on. You know, you see people having like half a stone in a week and I was always like 2 pounds and I was like initially, well, I can lose more than that on my own, but you've got to give the medication a chance, you know? And I contacted the pharmacist here at Ushk and she was really supportive and just said, you know, give it a chance. And, you know, when I went up to the higher doses then, that's when I started to notice it from 5 milligrams onwards then.
Right.
So first of all, you noticed the weight.
Yeah.
And that must have been a great moment for you because as you start to see that, you kind of start to gain back control too. But it didn't just quiet the food noise in your head as well. You found that as a side effect, it also, you didn't want to drink anymore.
Yeah, exactly. It was like sometime in September and I'd gone up a dose and I just remember waking up and it just didn't think about it anymore. You know, it occupied my mind all the time. And even if my boyfriend was having a drink, I'd, you know, give him evils because I would feel like I was begrudging him because I couldn't do it. But now I can be around people that are drinking and it doesn't bother me. Like, I don't actually want to drink anymore. It makes the thought of drinking makes me physically sick and it doesn't occupy my mind, which it used to, in the same way that food would, you know?
Like nagging almost.
Absolutely.
You've lost 5 stone, but maybe crucially, part of your life that you never thought you could get under control has been satiated. When was the last time you had a drink?
6th of September last year, so...
And you're not even thinking about it?
No, not at all. And it's usually, like, with me, I've got quite an addictive personality, so I usually drop one addiction and somehow go on to something else, you know, and it hasn't happened.
It's fascinating. Dr McLaughlan, to hear what Rachel's been through and how she's done it is amazing. We've heard a lot of people that we've had on who talk about the food noise that's constantly in their head and that stops. But to hear the alcohol noise has gone as well. Is that something that you're anecdotally getting from some of your patients?
It's really interesting, really exciting. Anecdotally, yeah, we're hearing kind of case studies like Rachel's, and that's really interesting for us as obviously as psychiatrists and gives us a bit of hope. I think what's really important though is to kind of consider when we're deciding whether or not something is a safe and effective medicine, if it's going to be of value to prescribe it. What we need to do is look at these case studies, but then also look at bigger studies where we're thinking about kind of population level studies and then eventually even things like randomized control trials where we have placebo versus the active ingredient. So I think it's definitely really exciting, but there's a lot more research and evidence that needs to be gathered before we can say for sure that this is definitely something that's going to be safe and effective and of value for people.
You just mentioned there about it being safe. I'm guessing, though, that there'd be more risks if you were using it to try and control addiction, because it's actually been created for weight.
Yes. So the medication's been licensed for weight, and that's purpose.
Yeah.
It's been designed for that. So we know that this is helpful for people who are overweight to lose weight. And we've actually seen a study, it was published in the Journal of American Medical Association last year. It was carried out in Sweden where they had over 200,000 people. And they showed that people who were using this medication who were overweight, they did manage to reduce their drinking behaviours and they had less alcohol-related admissions to hospital. But we don't know what would happen if somebody who was underweight, for example, was to take this medication.
Yes.
And a lot of people who are very heavy drinkers, a lot of them are actually underweight because they're not well nourished.
Yes.
So I think it's really exciting, but we do need to kind of think, well, is this the right treatment for the right person at the right time? And that's still work that needs to be figured out.
Yeah.
Have you, Rachel, your friends that you know that are on, have they noticed the same thing? Have they noticed a curbing of their desire to have a drink?
So a lot of my friends don't have a problem with drink.
No.
But what I've done is I've shared my journey on TikTok and I did put a video on about it and say, has anybody had these side effects with the weight loss injection? And they replied, and like in abundance, lots of people came back and said they were having exactly the same, you know, that they didn't crave alcohol anymore, they didn't fancy a drink anymore, and in other areas of their life as well, with like prescription medication and stuff people have had problems with, and they've tapered them off with that.
Is there a part of you, I mean, it's amazing, you look fabulous, you really do.
I know,
you can see.
They're off bench shepherd.
Take it and play it back on those days
But
when you're...
But in terms of the future, what are your thoughts about how you're going to go on? Because it's something you can't... I assume you don't want to be on the jabs forever. You'd like to sort of move on beyond that.
Well, luckily, like the pharmacy I'm with, they do maintenance plans, so it's not frightening for me at the moment. I'm 2 stone off my target weight, so I'm not thinking about coming off it anytime soon anyway. But if I was going to come off it, there's plans available to like find the right dosage for you, find the right, you know, level or whatever. You can get support to taper it off. I've always tried to stay on a lower dose for as long as I can, so that I'm not just jumping a dose every 4 weeks, because I know I've got to try and do some work myself as well. But yeah, long term, I'm going to try and stay on it for as long as I can, if I'm honest, because you can be on this medication for life. That's the thing a lot of people don't realise. You know, you can actually be on it for life under the right pharmacist and, you know, as long as you're getting medical advice.
Dr David, if anybody is struggling with addiction, obviously we know that we need to find out loads more about this drug and more research needs to be done. What should people do right now if they're struggling?
I think definitely speak to your GP. That's always a really good place to start. The government's innovation and research body, Innovate UK, have funded a programme very much for people like Rachel, called curb.health, and you can download the app for free on their website, curb.health. Also, charities like Alcohol Change UK are a brilliant place to start. Or finding other people who are also going on their sober journey, finding your community. There's a great online community, but they also do in-person events called Sober Girl Society that are incredible, that also is, I guess, a really good place to kind of meet other like-minded people.
Yes, yes.
Find your tribe, get involved.
Yeah,
exactly.
Mounjaro have said to us that it's only authorised for the treatment of type 2 diabetes and weight management in the UK. The medicine should not be prescribed or used outside of its purpose. They are working to understand the potential of other incretin-based therapies to address a broader range of conditions. I wonder how your boys have reacted to Mum now.
They're watching today, so they'll be really proud. Yeah, they've got a different mum, you know, they have. And I don't have any mum guilt anymore. You know, we're constantly on the go, constantly doing things. And I'm just more present now, you know, and just able to enjoy life without all of that going on behind me. So, yes, great.
It's incredibly positive,
Well
Rachel.
done.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rachel.
David.
Thanks, David. Nice to see
Thank
you. If you've been affected by anything that we've been discussing, there's plenty of support on our This Morning app and, of course, on the ITV
Thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload new content every day, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out. And we'll see you in the morning.